Good morning and happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay. Good morning, everybody. Sorry we missed you yesterday. I did miss you.
Yes.
And thanks for all the comments of where are you?
Yes.
We're right here, but we did tell you we're going to take Tuesday off, and we had to. We had a couple of appointments to deal with. So thank you very much to those that reached out. Yes, we're back.
Yes, he's back. Back again. So yes, thank you very much. Hold on, where is he? 8-6, not 8-7. 6-7. But yes, anyone else stacked for the return of Tea and Coffee?
Oh, thank you very much. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, we need it. So sometimes we have appointments in the morning and we just can't shift them, and we got to deal with them. Not often, but yesterday was one of them. And dealing with some issues still after 8 years. Anyway, we'll share some of these details with you guys all at some point when we can.
Yeah.
But the court system goes very slowly, especially when people don't show up when they're supposed to show up. So anyways, we'll share some of that in the future with you, but I hope you're all well, and I hope you had a good Tuesday, and welcome to Wednesday.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Everyone's popping up their comments in the chat, so it's great to see you in there. And question answer to you, Wilf Elcock. How's Wilbur? Wilbur's fine.
Get on.
Wilbur is living his good life. He is loving the snow. He's got no issue with it because, in our neck of the woods, we got a bunch of snow a couple of days yesterday. Roads weren't great in the morning, but it's cleared up, and we've got plus temperatures for the rest of the week. So got some sunshine, so I'm anticipating it's all to be melted and free to go. But now Wilbur's great. He's having fun on the farm.
And Jacob came in yesterday from helping out with Wilbur, and all I said to him, he's like, "Daddy," I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I spoke to Wilbur." I'm like, "He did?" He goes, "Good night, Wilbur." "Good night, Jacob." So he does Wilbur's voice now. So it's really cute.
Yeah, and for anyone who has a child with speech delays, when you hear them make jokes like that and be able to not only say a full sentence, but then also even change their voice to make a joke, it hits home a lot more, and it makes it a little bit more funny and endearing. But yeah, and so for me, because he helped me, we got home a bit late, so we had to go do the wellness check on the animals. And so we go, and he says, "Mom, I want to come with you." So sure. And so we're packing Wilbur up, and he said, "Good night, Wilbur," and I'd made the voice of "Good night, Jacob." And then so he then just took it and ran and said, "Good night, Jacob," with the voice. And for the next 5 minutes, as I'm clearing the solar panels, I'm hearing this joke over and over again, and he's just laughing his butt off. He's making himself laugh, and it's great.
Yeah, he's a cute little guy. I'm sure some of you have met him. So some of the people in the chat know who he is, and watching the show knows who he is. And we're very proud of him. And JJ too. JJ has now mastered the jump scare for dad.
That was too funny, because our oldest loves a good jump scare, especially when it happens to him. And then about a few days ago now, he got Jason good. He got you good. I'm in the trailer, and I know both of them are outside, and Jason just left, and I just said, "Woo!" And then Jason goes, "Rah!" Sorry for the volume, but I'm laughing because I know that he got his dad. That was quite a proud moment for him.
Okay, so Paul exaggerated a bit and was, he was like, "Oh, you got me." Because he was clever. He went out early. He was very quiet. I didn't anticipate it at all. But then I sent him to go get my phone, and I got him right back. So Jason and Jason, that could be the new Spy versus Spy.
Too
Mad
funny.
TV or Mad TV and Mad Magazine are around, so we'll be Jason and Jason. We'll constantly be trying to find ways to scare each other. But no, it was good. I was proud of him. Hey, whoa, not bad. Not bad.
No, it's good. We have fun time with our kids.
Yeah.
It's most people, I'm sure, do. Parents with their children have fun times, and they're fun and making memories with them. It's what we like to do.
I was hoping you can fit fun into that sentence one more time, because it was fun.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, and then yesterday we had some good bonding time, husband and wife time. Every once in a while, it's really great to sit down and have a good chat. And thanks for your time yesterday. We had a nice conversation, and we're still learning stuff about each other after 20 years.
Yes. No, yes, of course. I would definitely agree to that. It's always good to have some husband-wife time and family time and all that. So it builds the bond, strengthens them, and helps us ready to be, fight another day. Not necessarily against each other, but against, the world that it's becoming.
Yeah, when the conversations stop, concerns start.
Yes.
So keep those conversations going, and we're sharing one with you this morning. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good to see Martin there. And Martin, there's not much to give you for an update around here. The good weather's coming back. So the next few days, probably all the way through Sunday. So I'll have a lot of updates for you, Martin. I know you've got your pencil and your pen, and you're waiting to see what we got.
I got a list for you. Like we have the list for you. On mine is wood splitting. That's what I'm going to be working on. Wood splitting. Got a whole whack to work through. Get the kids working on that too. Be my wood stackers.
I'm leaving the camera on or just make her uncomfortable.
Hello. Hello.
But there's a lot of news to catch up on because we did skip a day. So let's go ahead and jump into that.
Yep.
Let me put Paula on that screen too. Hi, there you are. All right. So good morning, everybody. And for that morning drive, it's Paula and Jay. So let's get into it. Okay. So the first, by the way, news changes quickly around here. So breaking charges dropped for Katie and her mother.
Yeah.
More information on this. Well, let me just share the post first. Called it. I said to Katie when she was last on, they will likely drop her charges after the call was complete. Why? Because they were bogus the entire time. Feeding your own animals on your own property with CFIA permission is not a crime. Arresting her and her mother should be. All right. So the update of this update is the charges haven't been dropped. They're not pursuing them at this stage. They have up to a year to go ahead and pursue them. Spoke to her yesterday about it, so she clarified because she even thought they were dropped, and then she learned yesterday that they're not dropped. They can still bring them back and pursue them, so they're kind of just pending right now.
And just have it dangling.
Yeah,
over
purgatory
them.
again. She's in purgatory again. They're just keeping something over her head.
Yeah.
They sometimes do this. Okay, and I can't say this is for this case as well, but sometimes they do this just to keep them quiet for a year, all worried about what they say. They don't feel free to speak because it might be used against them. In fact, that's what they told her. We're still going through the evidence and may bring the charges later, which is code word for don't talk online and don't speak out because we'll probably use that against you. But no, she's going to go ahead and be her and make sure the story gets out there, the truth gets out there. You can't be arrested for the truth. Not yet. Give the liberals enough time and maybe they can. But right now, her charges are not dropped, but they're paused or pending. So they could come back on her. I spoke to her yesterday, so I wanted to make sure that this update on the update was accurate for you all. How old are you? Because here's one of these things where they say, show your age. 1 point for each of you that used. All right, so hold up your fingers and count. How many of you, and 1 point for each. If you use a fax machine, a rotary phone, the encyclopedia, floppy disks, AOL address, record player, dial-up internet, film camera, mixtape, phone booth, cursive, checkbook, about the American way, typewriter, dictionary, VCR, paper map, waterbed, postcard, Walkman, and phone book. I scored 19.
I scored 18. The AOL address and the waterbed.
Yeah, for me it was the AOL address as well, but I have slept and touched and been around waterbeds. But yeah, everything else for sure. And if it wasn't AOL, it could have been Hotmail.
Yeah.
It could have been Lycros. It could have been, some of those other early ones. Because I certainly was around for everything else. So, and by the way, the phone booth and phone book, same place, same time.
No, back in England, back in the day, having your yellow pages and your phone book was given, and that's where you used to go call and order pizza.
How many people first looked up their phone number when they got the book? I know I always did. Always looked up to see if we're in there.
Yeah, we were in the phone book in England. Yeah.
And why is there a little bit of pride of being listed?
Seeing your name in print is that first like, ooh, look,
that was a privacy issue. Everybody knows now. They got my phone number. We didn't see it that way back then.
Exactly. There was didn't seem very nefarious at the time.
No, because scammers, they weren't going in the full book and just typing all the numbers in.
Yeah.
It was later when technology helped them out. But here we go. This is kind of creepy. So you and I watched this video on YouTube the other day. I think it was infographics.
I think it was infographics.
Yeah, we watch a lot of that stuff. Don't agree with their political sides because they certainly are left-leaning and hate Trump. Some of the stuff is entertaining or informative. And they did a mock, like, how would the world react if AI kind of took over? So here's my post. Wow, just yesterday I watched if fictional video about AI taking over the world. The fake company name, Prometheus.
Mhm.
Ooh, I'm proud of myself on that one. You could say it. Prometheus. Now, Jeff Bezos announced his new AI startup. The name? Prometheus. Watch for yourself. And this is a creepy one. It's about an AI that got super intelligent, was able to figure out how to hide itself, grow itself, expand itself, and destroy the world. So I find it a little creepy that Jeff Bezos announced his AI startup is going to be called Prometheus, Project Prometheus.
Mhm.
I don't know. I like it when things say fictitious. Anyways, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
Bezos is competing in the AI space, and I don't know if that's what we need anymore. More of them.
More AI. Yeah.
Yeah, but here we go. Okay, so this Ryan Turnbull, he pops up every once in a while. He's all proud that inflation is down in October. How will the Conservatives try to spin this as bad news? Fun. So my response to him was, you are proud of inflation dropping to 2.2% when we should be aiming for 0%. And you think it's good news? Would you be happy if your spouse partner cheated on you less in October versus September? Cool.
Yeah.
No wonder you have flags of two corrupt countries proudly displayed. He's got the Canadian, Ukrainian flag still being displayed in his name there. So I don't like these kind of arguments. It's like, yeah, we caused inflation. It's been out of control. It dipped. We're winning.
I know. And then
No,
how are
let's
you going to
dip
make
it for a year.
worse?
Let's talk about getting the grocery prices back. Let's talk
Yeah.
about everything come back to normal, which it won't. It can't now. And then maybe we can celebrate Ryan. But you're sitting here trying to make this all about conservatives because it dipped in October. Silly man.
Mhm.
But I think my analogy there is accurate. Like if something bad that's happening is just a little bit less bad, do you celebrate?
Mhm.
No, we need the bad to be gone before we even get to that point. Turn it around. I'd like to see McDonald's back to $5 or $6 instead of 10, but it's never going to happen. Well, thanks a lot, Ryan. You're cheering on the bad guys.
Yeah. Before we move to the next one, there's a lot of feedback in the chat. So don't know whether it's indicative of the demographic who use Facebook, but a lot of the Facebookers have used all of that list of all of the 20.
Welcome to the club.
And we got a bunch of 19s in our local chat as well. But yeah, AOL, someone's saying, I'm still using my AOL.
Yeah, you can tell a lot about a person when you see their email address. And AOL, you've been around for a while.
Yeah.
Original dial-up, all that good stuff. You got mail.
You got mail.
I probably just gave a couple people goosebumps. They're like, oh.
I only know that phrase from, what was it? Is it
Sleepless in Seattle?
There you go, is it?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Connected. So we did get into the budget. So even though I had an appointment Tuesday morning, Monday afternoon, we got into the budget live, and we had two excellent people from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation on, or is it Foundation? Let me look closely. I think it's Federation. Either case, so Franco came on, and he's the executive director, and we had Chris on, who is a director from Alberta. And we got into it. We were having a good conversation. There was a lot of support for the Conservatives on that panel, and some not so supportive for the Conservatives as we were going through the budget and the vote. And of course, you all know by now it passed. No surprise there. We were calling this on Saturday as well with Stockwell and the rest of the panel that it was going to pass, because we didn't think anybody wanted to have an election, and that includes the Conservatives. They already kind of showed their cards on that one. They could have had an election, and they chose not to. So it seems like we're going to be stuck this way for a little bit, but check out this episode. It was a lot of fun. And Franco is a really, really good speaker, and he presents the information and does it in such a way that it's kind of entertaining because of the way he delivers, but is incredibly informative. And Chris is a lot of fun too. She used to be in the mainstream media, she broke free of that, but she has insight to the political side of things and is very, very good coverage. So thanks to Chris Sims and Franco Aranzo. Close enough. So the question here from Elma, yes or no? Do men still open doors? Yes. And my young men, ages 11 and 9, do as well.
They're
and
very
it's so
adamant,
cute. Yeah, no, they'll go run ahead of us to go get the door and open it for strangers as well. And yeah, it's something that we do because why would you stop that?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Chivalry is not dead.
Yeah, and I, as a woman, I even do it for make sure that I hold the door open for someone. If I see someone coming and they're like, that 10 seconds away, I'll stand and hold the door because
Well, the universal, hurry up, buddy.
yeah, like, but no, I do that too. But no, we raise them right on that, and yeah, they're very adamant that they want to open the door either for us or for somebody else.
Nothing is more rude than following somebody and they crack it just to squeeze their body in and let it close.
Yeah.
Nothing more rude.
Yep.
Yes. It's kind of be polite in society, folks. But yeah, Jacob will run ahead of us to get the door. Sometimes they'll even fight over who's going to do that.
They will.
Yep. Oh, I got it. My turn. Oh, my turn. Well, you get the one inside then.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I haven't touched the door in a while. So thanks, boys. Here we go. So another one of these questions about making you think. So Nick posted here, if you went to school before the 2000s, oh, yep, that's me. Do you remember any sort of ideological brainwashing? Now, I think his post was intended to say, no, there wasn't. This is all new. No, sorry, Nick, because the answer is yes. So for me, I remember affirmative action, acid rain, the hole in the ozone, global warming, anti-bullying, and anti-racism. All were precursors to what we see here today. These were the things I grew up in school and high school, including affirmative action. Even as a really young guy in Saskatoon at the time, I remember how I was excluded because I was white in some things. And I was told by teachers back then that I can be held back and that's the right thing to do. And I asked the teacher straight up, I said, isn't this reverse racism? So it's a type of racism just reversed. And she's like, no, you guys are privileged. And I remember this as a kid, and this was Saskatoon, so I would have been like 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that range when this happened. So no, this has been going on for a long time. They just amplified it and built on the foundation of this and kept going. And the anti-bullying and anti-racism in Canada, I can honestly say I've only come across actual racism a couple times. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't in my high schools. We didn't have problems like that. Everybody was treated fairly as far as my eyes were concerned. What happened behind closed doors in other places I can't speak to, but in my world, I didn't see it except for on me. I certainly saw it that way, but I didn't see it happening the other way.
And in growing up, the other side of the pond for me in England, affirmative action, no, especially now that I know what it is today. I didn't recall that, but everything else practically you listed. From the global warming,
Do you remember acid rain? Because that was a US to Canada thing.
Yeah, no, there was the whole acid at the same time in
Well, let's be clear though, was that a different type? Because here it was about the industry in the US causing acid rain in Canada.
Not the dance scene, no. But the acid rain was going on in conjunction with the famine in Africa.
Okay.
So so we were very aware of that too. So, and anti-bullying. I would throw in the teenage years the homophobia. Don't be homophobic.
Yeah, we didn't have much of that either, to be frank with you. That came later. I think that was more in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. But it was anti-bullying, for sure. Yeah. And they would use bullying techniques to teach you anti-bullying. But I honestly, in my high schools and junior high and all that stuff, and there was mixed culture for sure, especially in Winnipeg. No, I didn't see, and like I was growing up with First Nations people in Winnipeg, it was about 50-50 on the classes. I didn't see racism. Yeah. I learned about it because they kept teaching us and telling us it exists, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
You saw it on TV. You hear it in music from certain cultures, but I didn't see it in the real life. We were taught it.
Yeah, I grew up in went to school in a little village in England, and everyone went to the local school. And at the time when I went to school, there was one black family and there was one Mauritian family, because Mauritian was my best friend at the time growing up. And growing up in that little village, no, there was regular bullying for kids. There was nothing about discrimination with them at all. And so, yeah, that was little rural England. You can expand that against some other areas as well, but no, it wasn't predominant in the 80s and the 90s that I saw.
Yeah, I had a little bit of, you're tall and skinny, so I got called Stretch, but they ate my dust in track and field because boy, can I clear those hurdles and I can do the long jump. And my lisp came up, but those are corrective measures. When you get made fun of, you work harder. So I think that's not bullying. I think that was done with love. Even though I didn't feel like it, but it certainly helped me work harder on removing my lisp. Anyways, so that was it.
Yeah.
So no, this is not new. This ideological stuff has been around for a while. You can trace it back at least to the 60s, probably even earlier than that. Okay, so the vote result, this has really caused a lot of people to complain and point fingers and get upset. So Rachel Thomas, she highlighted here, she says, breaking the Liberal government budget has passed with the help of the NDP and Green Party. And then she also says in this post, and all Conservatives voted it down. No, sorry. Like, look, you guys are having some issues there. Let's be honest, not all Conservatives voted no. As Rachel says, 2 abstained. What's really going on with CPC? As we learn more details about why, it seems like even Conservative, I'm going to call them almost cultists, because you are not allowed to speak about their people. But I want to highlight a couple of things on this graphic. This little phone icon beside the name means electronically entered. The little person means in person. So there was electronic voting at this budget, and it was a temporary measure that was passed by the House to allow for it. So, because this matters, because in a bit, people are really defending one of these people, but not the other. So as we go through the post, we'll see this. And Bob Zimmer, we just voted against Mark Carney's $78 billion deficit budget, but it passed. 170 yes to 168 no. We'll keep fighting the out-of-control spending of Mark Carney. Bob, you could have stopped it like on the 7th of November. You could have called an election. So, so we'll get into this in a bit too. But my post here is Alberta Independence Reason number 1790. I know some of you were missing these, and we're back into it. On November 17th, Ottawa passed a 2025 federal budget, another staggering display of fiscal irresponsibility, adding at least $78 billion in new deficit spending in a single year. Canada's debt is accelerating at a pace that no reasonable household, business, or province would ever tolerate. Ottawa continues to spend beyond its means, borrowing against the future of Canadians who had no say in the matter, especially Albertans. Ottawa drains billions through equalization, net transfers, federal taxation, and national programs we did not design and do not control. We are forced to subsidize deficits we didn't create and policies we don't support. Our resource wealth, entrepreneurial economy, and disciplined fiscal approach are more than capable of sustaining a prosperous and stable Alberta outside Canada. In a strong and free Alberta, our tax dollars would stay here, financing balanced budgets, debt reduction, and long-term prosperity, rather than being swallowed by Ottawa's reckless spending. So another reason for Alberta to consider its options is, well, we'll be in full control of our budgets and finances here, and we won't have to contribute to other people's pet projects, rail lines, propping up BC, buying off votes. We won't have to participate in that, at least outside of Alberta.
Yeah, exactly. Got to make sure that template gets broken and a new one is put in place when we create our new nation.
Yeah. So I was focusing here on the budget and why Alberta can take a look at that and say, no, thank you. Here's a post that went pretty viral for us. So Shareware Canada was shared in emails from Katie and the CFIA for the Universal Ostrich Farm. And what did this email say? It said there was alternatives to calling. And these are from CFIA itself. So breaking, internal CFIA email shows flock eligible for genetic exemption undercuts mandatory call narrative. There it is in writing. The CFIA acknowledged that the Universal Ostrich Farm flock qualified for an exemption from depopulation because they possessed rare and valuable genetics. Their words. That's straight out of CFIA's own case officer in an official email outlining the criteria for sparing the birds. Yet after confirming the flock met the exemption criteria, CFIA reversed course, told the public the birds must be destroyed, and told the courts the same. This proves what many of us have been saying from the beginning, including our show. The law allowed an exception. We actually found 3 different exceptions it could have done. The science report supported alternatives to calling. Even the CFIA at this point agreed with that. They had rare genetics. CFIA chose the most extreme option anyways. Their email says they don't have to call.
Yeah.
They can save them. To those claiming that other farms were at risk, which was a major narrative in CBC and all over the place, the CFIA's own exemption pathway disproves that narrative. They had tools other than calling. They simply chose not to use them. And we must now ask the uncomfortable question. Who benefits when natural immunity, long-lived antibodies, and non-pharmaceutical research are eliminated from the conversation? Not farmers, not public health, certainly not the ostriches. There's only one industry whose business model depends on insisting that herd immunity doesn't exist. Natural antibodies don't count, and only patented solutions matter. We all know who that is. Big Pharma. So we're starting to make some of these ties, and I did, in my conversation with Katie yesterday, confirm that they were granted the exception, and then it was revoked. So she'll be providing, she's going to dig up those documents for me, and we're going to get those to you.
Great.
Because the next question to this was, well, were they granted there, or did they just not apply for the exception? No, they were granted the exception, and then they pulled it away. Other people are digging up more stuff, so we're going to continue with this, but it looks like the CFIA funded a competitor to the Universal Ostrich Farms research just before they issued an order to remove their birds and kill the birds. So what that means, we'll be digging into it, but the same stuff that the Universal Ostrich Farm was working on, a competitor backed by the CFIA with $500,000. Again, this is open documentation provided to the public by the government, shows that they were investing into a program very, very similar to the one they destroyed here.
No conflict of interest.
No conflict of interest. And I see our awesome guest will be with you shortly. Really looking forward to our guest today, by the way, everybody. Jason Christoff, his videos. Yeah, things that make you go, things that make you go, We were listening to it on our drive back. And yeah, really going to enjoy this conversation. So Jeremy here was posting that Matt, which is the Alberta MP who abstained, he said Matt has not been voting for weeks now, and Shannon, which is the other Alberta MP who abstained, had surgery. Even if they voted, it still would have passed. So I put out here, and some of this kind of needs some clarification. Actually, if they both voted no, it would have been a tie and being sent back to debate without passing, because one of the things the House Speaker can do is send it back to debate, especially if there's multiple abstaining. They could do that. They don't necessarily have to. They could actually vote yes. But my point here was, had they voted, at least we would have had a tie. Then if Chris Montremont didn't cross, the budget would have failed. If Elizabeth May voted no, it would not have passed either. So there's a few paths where this could have been stopped. The question is, how did May know she was the balance of power before the vote? Did she know in advance that the two CBC MPs were abstaining? Because she did a press release where she said she's going to vote yes. And she's also talking about having the balance of power. How did she know ahead of time that these two MPs were not going to vote? And this is the second time in as many weeks as CBC didn't stop the Liberal Party of Canada. Sus. So one of the things we learned as we're waiting for a guest to jump back on, I guess he's checking his audio and stuff.
He is.
Yeah, cool. Maybe he can't hear us. Is that the issue?
Well, he wanted to test to see if we could we could hear him.
Got it.
So
so he went back to the first stage. Cool. So I wanted to highlight here because our good friend Brittany, who came on last week, she provided the statement from MP Shannon Stubbs. And if you read the statement, she actually provides a full letter. She basically says she was born with a condition in her jaw and cheek, and she's been trying to get surgery on it for a long time. She originally was scheduled, and then the election popped up, so she postponed it. And then she got it another date, and it just happened to be at this time. So there's a lot of damage control because people noticed that she did not vote. However, look, as much as I want to be empathetic for surgery and stuff like that, like I get it. However, electronic votes were permitted.
Yeah.
All you really needed was a device and internet and authentication to log in, and she could have voted from anywhere. Many did. So I wanted to highlight like electronic votes were permitted. And then 2 CPC abstained votes plus Chris, we just call him Chris Cross now, crossing the floor gave Carney the win. Alternatively, had Elizabeth May voted no, as she previously said she would, and both CPC MPs who abstained also voted no, Carney would have failed. Canada will pay for generations. What I'm trying to get at here is, and a lot of people say kabuki theater, which is all fake. This is what's going on. Like, no matter how I slice it up, it would have passed. It's something that they definitely wanted to have passed, and we're going to pass it. And the Conservatives could have had an election on November 7th and didn't. So, some people are starting to, cover for them, saying, well, Christmas is not a good time for an election. No time's really good.
Yeah.
Let's just have it. They're also saying, well, if they ran, Liberals would get a majority. Are you admitting CPC's weak now? Like when you say that?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you admitting that, you don't have the faith in your leader to go ahead and turn this around? With the failed Trump negotiations, with a budget that has this kind of deficit spending, with the bills that they're proposing and trying to bring through the House, these would be slam dunks for talking points in an election, in my mind, because now it's not just a new guy. It's the guy that has about 8 months under his belt, and he's really destroying Canada. Well, so I would think it wouldn't be that difficult to handle the campaign and really fight hard for Canada. Like, you could have a Save Canada campaign and push hard on it. But some of the supporters are saying they're not prepared for that and they can't do that. So we'll see where they're at when it comes to the leadership review early next year. And we're under this budget. It passed.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now, because Jason's back, is I'll save the rest of this for tomorrow because I really want to get to him. So good morning, Jason. How are you?
Guys,
Morning.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear us. Okay,
I think you can hear me. This is very common on SoundCloud, on StreamYard. I've had this problem before, and I can't hear. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to try. I'll try and come back, maybe on another browser. I am using Chrome.
Okay, and maybe just tell him to do the little gear at the bottom.
I've had this problem
audio,
before, and
then
my
speaker.
tech team has never been able to solve it. Let me try something.
Can you give me those instructions?
Okay. Oh, hold on a second.
I got the mic.
Well, you can't hear us, but we can hear you. Paula's going to try and get you some information. I'm going to try to do some sign language, so we'll bring you back. Okay. All right, so with that, I'm going to be able to continue. And I don't know if I have his phone number. I have his email. So we'll go ahead and continue with the news because we have a few more items, and we will extend the episode as soon as he gets his audio on. And what I'll start doing is maybe providing instructions for people when they're coming on to check that speaker option. All right, so wiretap, he's really rocking it, okay? Like, he's one of the independent media, citizen journalists out there who's really putting in the effort to do the research, figure out what's going on, and put together excellent videos in order for people to consume it. And this is another example. So the bombshell report out of him is the OPP inspector, Pat Morrison, claims at least 7 transnational criminal gangs are operating in Canada, and they have managed to compromise employees in both the public and private sectors. So the OPP is one of the police forces that I was impressed with when it came to the Public Order Emergency Commission. I was watching them closely, all except for their commissioner. So all of their officers did a good job. It did sound like they were following the truth, which means they were observing what's going on and not letting the narrative be driven to them by the media or the higher-ups. All of them except for their commissioner, Thomas something. Did a good job. So I'm not really surprised that the OPP are starting to blow the whistle on criminal gangs, transnational, and at least 7 of them. My post here is name names. Is Antifa one of them? Are you going to start talking about Soros? I'd like to find out who they're talking about, and at this stage, not so much. Now, if Jason can hear us, maybe he can give us a thumbs up.
No, he says he can't, but he's tried everything to get on.
Ask for his phone number, and then you can reach out to him. Look at this. My wife's getting a phone number of another gentleman named Jason. All right. And I also posted again the post I made on September 29th when the Canadian Food Inspection Agency declined my interview request, simply saying, unfortunately, we will not be able to provide a spokesperson for an interview on the issue. So I reposted it to remind everybody that we did ask before the call. I asked the CFIA to come answer questions about the call order. They declined the request and killed the flock instead of educating us on the why. This is something they should have been doing, because now what everybody's annoyed about is there were exceptions. They didn't know about it. The news wasn't providing it. We were talking about it. And it would have been good if the CFIA explained that, because what they really did was told everybody there was no option. They had to call them completely. You can also maybe suggest he uses his phone when people use their phone and it works well. You connect. Okay, so Paula, tech support again. So good job, Paula. So Randy Hillier, he did a post here. He said, and this is kind of interesting. Watch who missed their roll call. This is about the budget vote, but then voted late. Andrew Scheer and Scott Reid of CPC. The Conservatives held 2 votes back to ensure if everyone else opposed the vote, the bill would still pass. So what Randy's saying here is it looked like Andrew and Scott came in late to throw their vote in when it didn't matter. Not sure what's going on there. There's even a picture of somebody hiding behind a curtain. I don't think I have this one here. But what if, like, is this high school playground? Like what's going on here? Not sure. Really not sure. But there's a lot of bad optics coming out. And somebody posted again saying it's not a good time for an election. And my rebuttal to that was, if you really believe the Liberal Party is destroying Canada fiscally and with policy, then it doesn't matter. You want to stop them as soon as possible, the Liberal Party. It doesn't seem like Conservatives are taking that option. And again, we're speculating on whether or not they feel comfortable with their leader or with an election at this time. That's all speculation. But it would have been helpful to Canada if they were stopped and without delay. But that's my opinion on that one. So Dave Freedom, he's put out a $500 challenge. If you think you can get Pierre Poilievre to say the name Helen Gruss, here's your shot at $500. The simple rules: must be on camera, must be a live video, must pass AI verification. Tips: catch Pierre at Conservative rallies outside Parliament Hill or anywhere he's making public appearances. Be creative. If Pierre himself wants to claim the $500, we'd be happy to donate to his favorite charity. I think you've got what it takes. Let's see it. $500 waiting for the first verified clip. This isn't a left versus right issue. Helen's case needs to become a household topic in Canada. Public awareness is our greatest weapon, which is why the video is necessary. Background, and then goes into Detective Helen Gruss' case and where she was prosecuted and persecuted for discreditable conduct just for looking into a potential possible suspected link with the vaccine, mothers, and dead babies. What's the story?
He's going to maybe try on his phone.
Okay, that works too. Another one from Wiretap. Report: Palestinian protesters torched the Canadian flag in our streets, and now we hoist theirs in return. Why is no one talking about this? Well, we certainly are. We were pushing the mayor of Calgary to not to do this. So again, Jason, he's doing a great job on putting his videos together. He doesn't show the gory details, but he does show what Hamas does. Okay, we have another Jason here. So we got 3 Jasons in front of you. How are you handling that? Let's see if this one works. You can hear me now because you got the joke. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm here.
We hear you. Yep. Very good. Thanks very much for your persistence. It could be CSIS. Who knows what's going on here? Things are funky, and I'm sure you can get into that for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it does happen. Sometimes it's glitches, but the more important the conversation, the more likely there's going to be trouble.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that too. You know, I had certain guests on my show, and then my computer runs slow and my phone runs slow. And even just the other day, I turned to Paul. I'm like, I think I've been hacked.
Yeah.
Because I was watching. I'm a tech guy. All right. I used to write software all the way back to Turbo Pascal, like way back when I started to do this stuff. And I know what a minimized hidden screen looks like when it's quickly spinning up and then trying to hide itself. You can kind of just flash. There's a frame there that flashes and then it goes away. I had about 24 of them, like, and then just flash away. I'm like, oh man, I think I'm toast. I think somebody's watching my stuff. They're going to be bored. They're going to be very bored. They're going to learn about ostriches and other things, but I don't know, man. It happens.
Yeah, it definitely does. So yeah, thanks for your patience.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot for your video. You were talking about psychological warfare, how the public is being pushed lane by lane towards a narrative. You were talking specifically about the ostrich situation in Edgewood, BC, because to you, you're paying attention at a level that most are not, which is the psychological portion of it. These are old tricks. Humans are pretty easy to steer if you want to, and how we're falling for it, including working for the government, collecting your paycheck, keeping your head down, focusing on your mortgage, those kind of things. Do you want to go ahead and kind of let people know who you are, why you do this, and then we'll jump into some of this information?
Well, I've been researching a lot of hot topics for about 25 years. I sort of cut my teeth in Canada in the truth and freedom movement in the area of vaccination. I was very vocal on vaccination my first 15 years, sort of speaking to the public online. And then I decided to move over for various reasons to the topic of mind control and brainwashing, psychological manipulation and behavior modification. And over the past 2 or 3 years, I've spoken at the US Senate on the COVID roundtable with Senator Ron Johnson on mind control during COVID. I've spoken at the Romanian Palace of this Parliament. I've spoken at the EU Parliament with Christine Anderson leading the way there. I've spoken at the Japanese Parliament, all on mind control and just trying to get people understanding the basic underpinnings of what it takes to place people under mind control. And I think it was just last week through FOIA requests that I think it's there's a constitutional freedom, not group, but office in Alberta. I forget the full name, but through FOIA requests, they just uncovered that. Yes, that was it. Thank you for that.
Yep. They
just uncovered through the FOIA that's Freedom of Information Act for people who don't know what FOIA means, but just uncovered that the Canadian government has been using this simple mind control and psychological nudge techniques against the public. I'm not sure if it's illegal. It's definitely immoral and unethical because people, when they're under mind control, they make decisions that aren't in their best interest if you're using it for nefarious means. And the average person believes that their decision is organic to them. And obviously during the COVID operation, it was a full psychological operation, and it did get people making decisions to go against their genetic self-preservation mechanism. And that's the power of mind control, sort of step by step, get people where they're going. And so as a mind control researcher, I do see that it's always in play. It's always in play, this sort of tactic, but you can see it used in the ostrich situation as well.
So we hear terms like fifth generational warfare, where it's more information based and they're controlling it, massaging it, forcing it sometimes, shutting down conversations. Like, I don't know if that's our issue here today, but it's working right now. And also demonizing people, like we saw with COVID. Like, if you're unvaxxed, you're going to be the problem. These are all things you're talking about here. These are some of the techniques you're using.
Yeah, I mean, the one you just mentioned last, we call that shooting a hostage. And you want it messy, you want it public, and it's, mind control is a lot of reward and punishment systems. We'll take the case of like Dr. Stephen Malthouse, a very brave medical doctor out in British Columbia, I believe. So he was starting to speak common sense, logical thought, rational analysis of the COVID situation. So the CBC sort of made it their mission to use this shoot a hostage mind control tactic to sort of say, well, they attacked Stephen, they vilified him, they demonized him, caused a great deal of cessation to his income and made it really messy, which is what you have to do in psychological operation. You want to say, look, if you are going to speak up, this is what's going to happen to you. So you get all these punishments that the mind controller wants on the behavior that they do not want the public to follow. So that's the punishment side of it. And then you have the reward side of it, where this is the behavior you want to nudge the public toward. So you're going to give them the right, get on a flight, and you can go to the restaurants, and you're going to be looked at as a hero because you're saving someone's grandmother as well by doing exactly what you're told. And what's shown as well is that if the public is really weak and haven't achieved a great deal of success in their life, when you throw out these carrots to tell the public, or great tracts of the public, you can actually be a hero and accomplish something maybe for the first time in your life, and all you have to do is exactly what you're told. The weaker and sort of more bankrupt, morally bankrupt the population, the more they fall for these, they would have these frames where they would frame someone who took their vaccine on social media, and it would be like a circle, and it just said, "I just got my vaccine." And even the algorithms of social media were involved, where if you said you got the vaccine, the social media algorithms would be designed to really upregulate the comments and the likes and the shares, and give these emotional rewards that the average person doesn't know that this is going on, where they're being led down the primrose path and following this trail of emotional breadcrumbs to their demise for reasons they would never even believe if I even tried to tell them.
Now, you mentioned a couple of times the average person, but some people are kind of, I hate to use this word, but immune to it. Like growing up for me, and what I'm just going to kind of highlight here is I never cared about popularity, never cared about being part of the group that was popular in any way, shape, or form. Hung out with, the outcasts, and that made me an outcast too, and I was comfortable, and I enjoyed that. When I went to shows or bars where they're doing hypnosis, or at least showing it, I would sit down and I'm like, "You guys are dumb. Like this doesn't do anything. You guys are just playing along." So they stopped, selecting me. So are there certain type of minds that are just not as easy to control, or am I kind of just being a little egotistical and I could be controlled as well?
There is a percentage. A lot of people that say they can't be controlled sometimes are easy to control, but there is a percentage. It's 30% of the population is very hard to psychologically nudge outside their strength zone. And this is what the algorithms are for too, or the data mining. This is why the data mining centers are really ramping up in Canada, somewhere in Toronto. We're outside Toronto for our big data mining center. And they want to know why. The social engineers, the mind control experts, they know the percentage is about 30% doesn't move with the group, seems to be immune to group pressure, will do what's logical. The base belief is that someone who's immune to group pressure has actually taken their full rite of passage from child to adult. And it usually involves a lot of pain in childhood, a lot of failure, a lot of suffering, a lot of terror. And I'm one of those people as well. And that was my childhood. I became so placed in so many dark situations that I got to practice drawing these lines in the sand. And I was so terrorized as a child, I actually had to stand up for myself where I was going to die. And I actually drew a line in the sand with people assaulting me as a child and said, I would rather die than face one more second of this. And then I fought back. So it's this sort of pressure and then fighting back rite of passage, which takes our psyche and our spirit from that of a child to that of an adult. Generally, a lot of researchers believe that that's what happened with that 30%. Is somehow they've strengthened themselves and they've matured and individuated, which means you're an individual. You're not too prone to group pressure, but something has triggered the natural maturation process. And I do have to let you know that the government and media do everything they can in the mind control sphere to make sure we never mature from child to adult. Adam Sandler movies and Will Ferrell movies and Chris Hart. And to be honest with you, when humans watch any movie, it's proven, the psychology phrase is monkey see, monkey do. And you'd be very surprised that when you show adults in the theater, men or women that are behaving badly and have infantilized behavior, so basically they're of adult age, talking, thinking, and acting like children, there's a mimicking, copying, and mirroring effect, which can expand the population. And, they're very prone at that point. The population is very prone to be put under mind control, because real adults in their full adult strength, at their full adult center, can't be nudged into anything. And the rulers know that.
Well, I think you kind of gave me the goosebumps there, because maybe when you're younger and your authority structure and trust is broken, and then you learn young where you can't trust, what you thought was your authority or trust circle, that causes you to start to do things on your own and look at things a little bit differently. So maybe there's a lot of truth there, because I can confirm to you that, I had one that I wouldn't repeat to other people, childhood, which caused me to be very individual. I had to take care of myself very early, moved out at 16 and all that kind of stuff. And maybe that's assisted me, it sucked at the time, but it assisted me. And I've always had an issue with authority since childhood. Just don't trust them. I will listen, I will compute, and I will try and do my own thinking, but I just don't trust them by default. My default setting is don't trust, then verify. Some people trust and then verify, or some people just trust and they don't verify at all. One of the things you're highlighting there is there's like a system. So media is involved, and social media is involved, and all this kind of stuff. Is part of it, they have to first trick or mind control the deliverers of the information. So some of these journalists or people, talking heads on TV, they're controlled first, and then they're able to kind of get this out, because every once in a while we see somebody break out of that and say, oh, these guys are all crazy. But for the most part, are these people under their own type of control as well?
Well, everybody's sort of under the default programming, this blanket programming. Like, let's say you did have a CBC reporter talking about the outbreak. Now, yes, they're incentivized, and they're also under paycheck mind control, which means they're not going to question really what they're being told to say. Now, saying that CBC reporter has probably watched Contagion with Matt Damon and Lawrence Fishburne. They've probably watched World War Z with Brad Pitt. They've probably watched I Am Legend with Will Smith. They've probably watched Outbreak. That's a movie for my generation with Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr., and they could have even watched 28 Days with Cillian Murphy about, that was in London, England, where, all the population was wiped out from a virus. So although the CBC reporter has this extra incentive just to follow along, there's a part of them that's being conditioned in their childhood to believe in the concept of pandemics, to believe like this is one of the biggest movie genres over the last 30 years, and it's all on purpose as well. And there's a lot of evidence that it's all on purpose as well. It's like 30 years of preconditioning with up to 300 or 400 movies in this exact genre, which is they're all the same genre, although they have different actors and sort of different plots. The genre, which is the common foundation of these films, is there's a viral outbreak. If you get infected, bad things happen. Like in I Am Legend Will Smith lost his dog, he lost his wife, he lost his daughter, he lost his job, he lost all his friends, he lost his, sorry, I don't know if I said he lost his dog. That's the big one. And then, so there's all these bad implications. So you can see the CBC reporter is going to have that general blanket conditioning similar to who he's reporting to.
And I've talking to a couple people that I think are under the spell because I care and I want to reach out. And one gentleman I spoke to, I won't name who it was, but he didn't believe that we were correct, that the government has an injustice going on. They're targeting Canadians, trying to shut them down, using mischief as weaponization to kind of control some of the populace. Don't stand up, those kind of things. And he witnessed it. He's right in the middle of it, but he doesn't believe it. And then one day I asked him about facts, and he's like, yeah, no, I take it. I'm like, well, why do you take it? He's like, well, because I'm told to. I'm like, yeah, but it's not good for you. You're going to take some time off of your life if you just blindly take whatever you're told. He's like, yeah, well, I'm going to die anyways. Like, wow. And then we've kind of fast forward a little bit more. He came to me and he said, I see on the TV that they say crossing the border is really difficult and they're turning around Canadians and they're making things difficult at the border. That's what the TV was saying. But he travels the border all the time. He's like, but that's not true. It's the same as every other time he's ever traveled in the last 20 years or so. So I said to him, well, is that going to help you wake up? Because the same people who told you about all this other stuff that you believe, you just proved to yourself with your own eyes, your own witness, that they're not telling you the truth. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm too old to change my ways now. So he's obviously somebody that's very susceptible. Even when it's in front of him, he can't wake up. How do you help people like that? Is there a way to break through to them? And is there other anti-mind control techniques to help break that spell?
There is, but generally someone like that, see, the thing about awakening, it's an inside job. And that person, it's very common. So one of the best mind control tactics is basically to lie to the public. So lying is a standard mind control tactic. And you can research this. Dr. Joost Merleau wrote about this in his book, about brainwashing and menticide, which is death of the mind. So when you lie to the public, you might think it's a bad idea if you're in the ruling group. Like, don't openly lie to them. You could wake them up. But oddly enough, it's the opposite. If you lie to them, you set up this like opposing ideas inside the nervous system. And opposing ideas, basically, it's like if you go to a music studio and use an oscilloscope, which shows the sound wave function, the peaks and the troughs of the sound waves. Opposite sound waves on an oscilloscope actually cause a flat line and cause a cessation of sound. So you'll have two opposite notes, and then when they hit each other, you hear nothing. So when you lie to the public, you get these opposing brain waves with opposite peaks and troughs entering the nervous system, and it causes like a stun gun situation where the brain actually, it's almost like the neuralizer from the movie Men in Black, where there's no thought whatsoever. Now, these opposite brainwave functions will keep going off in the person's brain, and even if the truth is really, really frequent, usually living out the truth costs too much energy and too much time and too much money to act upon. So if you're the mind controller, you want the opposing ideas, which usually will just cause a stun gun effect of thought. And that means the person just keeps going ahead with your suggestions. But even if the truth gets really loud and it starts to overpower and become conscious, which means the truth starts to be consciously seen that the government is lying, if you can make the public so weak that they don't act on the truth, you get the same effect. So you want the lie, you want the opposing ideas, but as your second line of defense, you want to weaken the public so that they'll never even consider acting, like moving ahead and reconciling the truth in their real life, because they're too overweight, too diseased, like your friend said, too old, too financially destitute, living just check to check, couldn't take a $500 hit or emergency to the wallet or the bank account at any time. So it's a bit of a two-pronged system, but yes, lying is part of mind control. This is why on Trump's second day in office, he rolled out Larry Ellison for the $500 billion in AI infrastructure and the new mRNA cancer vaccines. It was just to keep people confused. So you had anti-deep state Trump rolling out deep state projects. You might think it would wake people up, but it's proven not to. It puts them into a deeper hypnotic trance.
Yeah, and some of us who were paying attention did not like day one and day two. Several of those executive orders kind of exposed everything at the same time. So what I want to do now is kind of bring you to the Universal Ostrich Farm, because what you were talking about was lies. Oh, and also another layer of defense for the people doing this is to vilify the other side and say, oh, they're chauvinists, they're racist, they're xenophobes, they're fascists. So even if you start to wake up, you're like, well, but I don't want to be like them, or I don't want to be labeled like them. So even the labeling, which is part of the lie, is another one of these defenses to stop people from even taking that cognitive step towards figuring things out, because they don't want to be called rednecks or whatever. But the CFIA, okay, so for months now, they were on the news. There were spokespeople, there were doctors or experts talking about how there was no path forward. It has to be stamped out. International agreement required it. But yet we're now getting information out of the CFIA emails themselves that said, yeah, well, actually, there were exceptions. These were genetically unique birds. They did have the path to exception. So now truth is starting to come out. But the whole public were willing to kill a bunch of birds simply because they were told that there was no path forward, but there was. So there's an example of a lie being repeated over and over again. And no matter how much people like us were screaming, there's actually 3 paths forward they could have done. It didn't help any. So can you maybe give some advice to people like us who was trying to get information out? Is there a way for us to deliver it that is easily digested? How do we reach these people? Do we have to dumb it down? Like, I'm seriously trying to look for some advice on how we can do better at trying to deliver this information.
Well, you can always do it the way you're doing it, in a calm and rational manner, but you should also warn the people that this is just this, Fabianistic approach where the ostrich shootings were part of a nudge. You're not, like, I call it the lane of traffic technique. So you're in the far right-hand lane. It's 10 lanes of traffic over to the far left-hand lane. And the shooting of the ostriches is part of an ongoing psychological operation that they have to do to psychologically nudge you into the 10th lane. You're only in the 3rd lane at the moment. So what is the 10th lane? Well, they have to nudge your nervous system inch by inch to accept what happened there, sort of on a philosophical basis, where you had animals that tested for a virus. Now, I'm going to tell you the test is bogus. The virus is non-existent, but they got to get you in this lane so that you think that the testing is real, that if you test positive, it's dangerous, that it could spread, could be like Contagion, could be I Am Legend, could be Outbreak. So they're building on the programming they've laid into you for 30 years. And then it ends in a cult. So they're trying to get you used to the fact of testing positive, ending in death. So the average person is getting used to it, but they don't know the way psychological nudging works. They're just using the birds because they want to do it to humans. That is the goal. Now, if you think this is far-fetched, you can go to the Journal of Death and Dying, where 2 professors from Western University just published a study on behalf of the Canadian government where they assessed the cost savings of euthanizing 16 million Canadians between 2027 and 2047, and only like 2.6 million would have been voluntary. This is actually on paper. So how do you think, like, people need to really connect the dots, because they're already connected for the ruling group. They just got to get you accustomed to the psychology by which you think it's valid for them to euthanize you. So it wasn't about euthanizing birds. It was about psychologically conditioning the public to believe that euthanizing any animal that tests positive is how you have to deal with a positive test. Then they just move the whole psychological structure over and then drop it down into a human situation, and the humans have already sort of made a spiritual contract with that idea in the nervous system. So it's like predictive programming. You're not so far away from accepting it, because by watching the birds get shot, you actually entered into a spiritual contract with the same situation for yourself if you test positive down the road.
Yeah, now some people in our chat are saying maids. Okay, so maids would be the voluntary group, but what maids is also doing is normalizing death before your natural to stop suffering and all this other kind of stuff. So I can see how they can nudge you over using maids to say, well, once you test positive, the outcome is going to be horrible for you, so you may as well go. And this is what I think this gentleman would do. I think he would be absolutely one of the guys that said, yeah, okay, well, I don't want to suffer. This is what you've told me is going to happen. I've now tested positive. Go ahead, inject me and finish me. And I can see easily people like that doing that. Can we peel the layer of this onion a little bit more? Who's interested in doing this? You're talking about the elite and stuff like that, because in order to wipe out 16 million Canadians, which would be in that time period close to 30%, maybe 40%, maybe 39. They're going after. Yeah, maybe they're going after a certain group that who knows? I don't know. But who's kind of interested in doing that?
Well, if you watch, the best way to get introduced to the group above government who pays the political actors to say and do whatever they're meant to do on the stage, the best way to get introduced to it is to go to a YouTube channel called the Conscious Resistance Network. And this is Derek Brose of the People's Reset. And you can go to the YouTube channel, Conscious Resistance Network, and find the last part of his documentary called The Pyramid of Power. So it would be sort of like the final chapter about the ruling groups that control most world governments today. And this is, again, this is a program. The program most people have that is standard, comes as almost standard equipment, is that these countries are different. But they were established all by one family. They were all established, all 60 plus Commonwealth nations were established as countries at one time owned by one monarch, the UK royals. Now, for anybody to believe that the UK royals gave back, I think it's 800 trillion in assets to the people and just said, oh, let's just forget about it. Here's this wealth back. People, that's the program though. And that's what people, they have these opposing ideas in their head. They know that all the countries acted the same and did the same, including Russia, because that's where I'm calling from right now. The border, I'm on the Russian border. Russia did the exact same thing that every other Western country did. They're not Western. They're supposed to hate the West, so why would they follow lockstep with everything the Western states did to their people? But this is what you have to reconcile, is that we have the opposing ideas again, seeing all the countries doing the same thing, but the schoolyard or the school programming is that all the countries are different. They all have their Independence Day. Everybody's elected their own officials. And it takes a lot of strength to go toward the truth regarding those two ideas. So find out who the real ruling group is. And that documentary, The Pyramid of Power, is a great documentary to start with.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking that one out for sure now. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll go check it out. There's organizations like the WEF that runs a program, Young Global Leaders. And one of the things that I think was going on there was they were rating heroes in that group. You're going to save the world, and at any cost. Like, they're able to cross that moral boundary, like save the world, but we may have to sacrifice a bunch and got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, that kind of mentality. And we saw a bunch of leaders come out of that program. Is this part of the pyramid you're talking about here? And is how they kind of control leaders as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they wouldn't, Justin Trudeau was in the Young Leaders program, but Justin Trudeau would have been conditioned by his dad, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, because Pierre Elliott Trudeau is mentioned many, many times as one of these as an insider in a special group, well above government, that was put down, not a promotion, like a downgrade to be prime minister, like falling out down toward that position as a favor to the group. And that's what Pierre Trudeau has his job. He would have conditioned Justin Trudeau, and the Young Leaders program, in regards to Justin Trudeau, Justin would have been well aware of what was coming down the pipe. Now, I know people have a hard time believing this, so I will give you something you can verify yourself. So you don't have to base your ideas on something I'm saying, someone you don't know. Go to the internet and just punch in Dr. Richard Day tapes. Dr. Richard Day tapes. This was a medical doctor in 1969 that had a meeting with 80 of his medical doctor friends, 1969, and he warned them of what was coming in the next 70 or 80 years, including everything that we went through in COVID. How would he know that? Now, you got to listen to those tapes so that you understand they were recorded in the mind of a doctor that was attending, who was completely baffled at what he was being told. Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan was the medical doctor in the meeting. It was a closed meeting, completely secret. No pencils were allowed, no recording. And they said, don't mention, Dr. Day said, do not mention anything I say, for my life will be in jeopardy, because I'm part of a secret club called The Order. But this is coming, and I want to warn you as my closest friends so that you can sidestep and best adapt before anybody else does, so you stay ahead of the curve. Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan went home, wrote everything down, but he did not come public for 20 years. And if you think these groups are fictitious, or that what happened in 2020 wasn't planned 50 years ahead of time, you really should listen to those tapes.
I just want to, and then this is The New Order of the Barbarians, correct? By Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan. And it's, yeah, and this is, yes, Richard Dunnigan, that reveals the detailed and sinister plans first outlined by former Planned Parenthood director, Dr. Richard Day. So I'll put a link in the chat to what I just did a Google search, so I'll put that in.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So we're gonna wrap up with the public portion. Can you stick around for a little bit more? We have a private group that we chat with as well for 10-15 minutes. Okay, yes. Awesome. Because I do have a couple more questions. Actually, one more I'm going to get out for the public. Orwell, was he a prophet? Is he part of the system? Is he getting us prepared? What's Orwell's role in all this? Was he warning us?
Orwell was part of the group. I think he was related to Charles Darwin, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken there, but he was related to other high-ranking members in the group that operates above government. And repetition is key to mind control because it's predictive programming. It softens the public up to whatever ideas you're thinking about. So that was sort of Orwell's job, is to basically go out and basically soften the public up to these ideas, so that when it happens, you have this weird feeling of that it's familiar somehow. The movie's laid in X amount of repetitions, the book's laid in X amount of repetitions, everything. This is what happens in predictive programming. Repetition is key. Keep hitting them with the same messages over and over again from different angles, different modalities of media. Could be Shakespearean plays, could be movies, could be pop songs. Just get them massaged down. And again, that's really gone over in the Dr. Richard Day tapes as well, that they control the music, they control the fashion industry, they control the movies, and they condition the public at their will.
Yeah, and I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that Alex Jones is our Orwell today, because he's certainly doing similar things like that. Sometimes he's wrong, but he's right a lot. But I think he's trying to condition us to kind of just take it instead of understanding it and maybe resisting it. But let me jump over to our private section, because there's a couple more things about AI and things I'd like to talk to you about. So hang on for a second. You're going to see our outro, and we'll be right back with you, okay? Cool. Wow, I'm getting goosebumps. Huge.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased that he was able to join us, because this is exactly why people reached out and said, hey, go check out his video and have him on. So I'm really glad he made it. Rewatch this episode, folks. I'm going to rewatch it and go check out those links that Paula shared with you. And again, use your own mind. Don't adopt everything, but use your own mind as you go through it. I think it would be very helpful for you to pick up some more knowledge.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for being in the chat. Lots of fantastic conversations going on our platforms. Will, thank you very much for our super $2.99 super sticker. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. But yeah, everyone, thanks for participating in our conversations today. Really appreciate it. And then for our locals, get ready to go switch over. But yes, see you shortly. And everyone have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you all for being here. Make sure you share this out. And we love you all very much, and God bless.